Hello, Amy.
Hi, how are
Good.
you?
How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Hello, world. Welcome. Real life positivity with Amy and Jamie, and we are on episode 8.
That's awesome.
No, it's
They're
so
building
good.
me.
Oh, I
They're
love
building
this
me.
time. Just
I know.
interacting with you and thinking about our friends tuning in, and just makes my heart sing and makes me happy. And we are going to be talking about the concept of that we are enough today. I think it's perfect timing for that, and that feels so important. I think it's a good reminder any day of the week, any time of our life, but especially during a pandemic, that we should discuss that we are enough.
Yes. It's like we kind of have moments where we think we're just living normal life in our conversations. And it's like, oh, yeah, we're in a pandemic. So, yeah, it's a pretty significant time to talk about this. I think it always is.
For
I
sure.
mean, I really genuinely think that this conversation transcends all of the time and space that I've been alive, at least, if not all of history. But I think now is important, and mostly want to give a shout out to all of the amazing administrators that we've been talking to over the last several weeks while
I
they've been
know.
navigating.
Working so hard, for sure.
Working so hard. But just wanting to shout out to them for looking out for their people, and then know that this topic came up today for our conversation because we were talking with an administrator who said, what I really need my people to know is that they're enough. My teachers, my families, just I need them to know that. And I love that so much and could really feel the depth of what she meant by those words.
Yeah, because as administrator, you have such a diverse group of individuals that you're working with, from your educators, from your team, uh, to all the different families. And we've had prior conversations about we're all in our own boat, and every boat looks different. And this is such a good testament to that, especially in that situation when you're in that administrator lens, like just feeling all the different variances and circumstances and the different types of learners and what they need and accommodating that. And oh my goodness. And
That's
just her heart for making sure people know that they're enough and that they matter. Whew. It's an important topic. I'm glad we're going to
big stuff.
unpack it today a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think is at the heart of us feeling that way? Of like us feeling that we are enough? Like why would that be so important, do you think?
I think ultimately because it affects how confident and resilient we are and how confident and resilient we can be. So it actually affects so much in terms of the language we use and the way we approach things and our perception of things, so and therefore then the relationships we have with people, and even what we're willing to practice and consider and be open to. So it really is at the root of, I think, almost it's at the root of I am noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like you're enough.
Yeah.
So that's like the undercurrent of all of that
Yeah.
flow and yeah. Oh wow,
It's,
that's
it's
good.
at the undercurrent of the feeling of I am noticed, but I think it's also pragmatically at the undercurrent of the practice of I am noticed and the actual tools and the way that we approach social and emotional learning and social and emotional wellness. So I think, and then that being the way we approach everything else, the way we approach the tasks that we have to do and the roles that we play. So it's not even just, I think, the feeling of I am enough. I think a lot of times when people in the past, we've had conversations, and I guess in my mind, I'm imagining like, and I think this, you might know what I mean by this, like the the secondary maybe coach kind of teacher that kind of thinks that I am noticed is a little too either touchy-feely or elementary, or and then that person kind of seeing the system,
Yep.
the approach, and the way we can practice changing the way we are showing up, and they're kind of putting those parts and pieces together. And I think that feeling of enoughness is actually what's underneath that. If an athlete shows up and then they know they can push themselves to the next
Sure.
level,
Sure.
they will. And
Yeah.
if they show up not feeling like they're enough and feeling like they need to tell somebody they're better than them, or feeling like they need to, they're comparing themselves to everyone else, they can't really show up and be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, and self-destructing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, like, in my mind, I hope that didn't just completely confuse everybody. But in my mind, I'm trying to imagine like the range
Mm-hmm.
of people who maybe relate to the feeling nature of the phrase "I am enough,"
Mm-hmm.
and know that that's just like hearts and love and hugs and worthiness and goodness, and what might seem like a soft
Yep.
skills, and all the way to the other end of that range where this is vital, this is systematic, this is a way of being that allows us to be confident and resilient.
Yeah, and then you can like look at, everybody has priorities and like values, and you can lay that I am enough, I am confident over, and that flows over into those values. So if you are an athlete and you want to have that high achievement, or that's your value, that's what your goals are, and you have those skills and you're using those tools
Mm.
and applying that, and the more confident you can be, that's right. Or if maybe it's a musician, or someone who is just taking all of the advanced classes, and I mean, you can just lay it over anything,
Yeah.
and it's just
So
that
so
vitalness comes into play.
right now, what I think a lot of people are trying to lay that over is something that's kind of unknown, because instead of all those things that maybe we've identified ourselves as before,
Yep,
we're
I
now
was
kind
I
of
was
in this
hoping the
new
conversation would
territory.
go there, because right now athletes are not able to really maybe be their athletic selves.
At least not in the same way.
Sure,
So
sure.
like I think about, Kristen is still training with her soccer team via Zoom. You can't play soccer via Zoom, right? You can't, and
Yeah.
she's so missing the interaction with her team in real life, and the it's a team sport. How do you grow and connect and love your sport? And so it's really kind of, she knows she's enough, but is she enough at figuring out Zoom and figuring out how to upload videos to her coach so he can look at, this is a totally different thing than just being a soccer player.
Absolutely,
And
just
she
showing up.
navigated that so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet
But then
girl.
I translate that into our teachers trying to, I am a teacher. I am enough as a teacher. Wait, I am a virtual teacher. And feeling enough in that new space
Mm,
is really challenging.
absolutely, and the same thing with like a parent. So
Yeah.
I am helping teach. I'm navigating a career or lack of a career all of a sudden. I'm navigating more meals that need to go on the table because we're here. And, there's just so many elements. And so, again, that undercurrent of, how are you feeling about yourself? Do you feel worthy? Do you feel like you are enough? Do you feel solid? Do you feel confident? And if those things are wavering, it's
Mm.
just extra hard right now to deal with everything.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I think what we have a tendency to do, and what we have a tendency to hear people talk about, is deciding if they are enough as it relates to the roles that they live out
For
and
sure.
those priorities. And what I think I Am Notice offers, and one thing I'd love to explore with you, is kind of getting at the underneath that, like the person themselves, not just the role that we as people perform.
Yeah, and I think we've learned that from all of the workshops that we've had, because we'll ask a kid, any age really, from elementary to middle school to high school, tell us some I am words about you. Well, I am a soccer player, or I am I play basketball. So we tend to just kind of go with what we like, or the categories or the things that we do. So I mean, that is so interesting. We've witnessed that and experienced it.
Mhm.
And then the at the another heart, obviously I am enough is at the heart of it, but it's uh, we have the want to, and then the positive I ams, and how we really lean into that positive self-talk, and how you can like self-fortify yourself and building up that I went down. I want to go up. I want to build that up. Like that I am enough. I am confident. Like those words, like you can do that yourself. Self-fortification.
Self-fortification. This like fortified database of
Yeah.
stuff I know is true about me
Hmm.
that actually translates in whatever role I choose to play.
Sure.
So you think like there's some people who are musically inclined, and I have a few of those as my kids.
Yes, you do.
And literally they can pick up instruments and figure them out and play them. And I think they sound great. Now, I will say this, some of them, I won't mention any names in case they watch this video, are perfectionists and don't ever feel like they play it enough. And that just hurts this mother's heart because I think they sound beautifully. But so there's definitely though a general confidence.
Mm.
They can read music, they understand how instruments work, and so they're going to pick that stuff up easier than I am, who is not musically inclined. I do sing really loud to the radio and
There
in my
you
car by myself, for it feels so good, but that's about the extent. So when we think about like the kind of undercurrent of feeling like I am enough,
Mm.
if we could do that in real life, if we had this kind of aptitude that as a person, I have this fortified database, I know I'm enough, then we could kind of go into whatever role we go into and say, oh, I know I am.
Yeah,
Huh.
and then you can champion each area of your life,
Yes.
knowing that you're worthy and you're enough.
Yeah. So
You,
I am capable is very different than I am a master at all things.
yeah.
But if I feel like I'm capable and I'm doing something new that I haven't done before, I have some confidence that I can figure that out, and I can be resilient as I'm learning and doing.
Mm.
It really kind of ties into that growth mindset.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
it's not there yet necessarily, but I am confident that I can grow and I can learn and I can do well. So yeah, no matter what the thing is, I am enough. I think that might be something that is a little different. It's something that needs clarification, like inherent worth
Yeah.
versus like provability. So I always say, like, I think all people are equally inherently worthy. But I don't feel like I'll say as a business owner, I don't feel like people are equal in the marketplace. I mean, there's some businesses who've been around longer and have built up
Sure.
a bigger base and have figured out how to serve better, and there's lots of ways to measure business, but I would say that I feel kind of young in the as an entrepreneur still, um, but I know I'm enough to be in that space.
I love that.
Ah, I don't know how to translate that for like thinking about parents at home, but like to say, I know that I'm totally knocking it out of the park with this virtual learning thing, but I feel good enough about me and
Sure.
who I am to know that we can keep showing up here and trying to figure this out.
I absolutely celebrate that and love that on so many levels. And I think it goes back to some of our previous conversations of comparison. And so
Ah,
if you can celebrate, like for example, like that business you were talking about, if you can look at that business who's had more time to self-fortify, right? They've had more practice, they've had more experience. That doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means they're a little further along in their journey. And
mhm.
so if you can celebrate that and just know you're okay and you're solid and you have your goals and your dreams and you're working and navigating through those things, that's such a big difference from saying, well, I mean, they've showed up, they're done. I will never match that. I'm not enough. I can't do that.
Ugh,
And that's an exaggerative example, but it's easy to do that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
easy to get in that space. And same thing with like if you're looking at your nest in your house and or your situation and you're doing the best you can, you're knowing that you're enough. There's value within your home. You've set those goals and what that looks like for you. And next door, 2 states over, whatever. If everybody's different and we all have different circumstances. So it comes down to that relationship with yourself. How are you? How are you feeling? What is your self-talk? Are you really building yourself up? And are you knowing that you're enough? And can you celebrate what other people are doing and having empathy and compassion for their situation and just keeping yourself solid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can we all do that?
We could all do that. That would be amazing. I think a lot of times people have asked us, and I think recently on Nick Parker's interview that we did for Link to Lee Summit, he said, like, what is a culture shift?
Mm,
What do you want to see happen? And like, if people could show up, if we as people could show up as confident and resilient, the more we do that,
mm,
that's the culture shift we're looking for. Because you said that's a dramatic way of saying that earlier, but like literally that's what goes on in our heads,
it's true. That's
right? I mean, it's like, okay, we're presented with, I'm just going to make something up completely not even real, so don't try to put it on. This did not really happen, but let's say that one of my kids has an assignment online and the technology is not working, or the assignment's not clear, or they thought they did it right and it's not.
sure.
The stuff that goes on in our minds in a moment like that, no one really wants recorded and broadcasted unless you've been really intentional about your self-talk.
Yeah.
Because it's very natural and very normal to say I suck. It's very natural and normal to say I'll never get this figured out. None of this ever makes any sense. The technology's not been working this whole time. Like all of this dramatic ridiculousness. And
Yeah.
I'm going like this because I'm imagining the spectrum of
That's
this is the area of self-destruction.
in that real concrete language. Like
Oh
those,
yeah.
the absolute language, like it's,
Yes.
nope, never going to work.
Never gonna work.
That,
No
that's
one likes me. Everyone hates me. I don't have any marshmallows in my Lucky Charms. It's all bad.
not enough Lucky Charms.
Not,
Ever.
and it really, all of that being at the root of I'm not enough here. I can't do this here. And that self-destructive pattern is very, very natural for so many people. And I know you and I have admitted in trainings that that's where we tend to fall if we're not feeling confident.
You bet.
Equally opposite from that end is not feeling confident and being arrogant.
Yeah.
And so same scenario, maybe I'm helping my kids and things aren't working and they've tried and I don't know what to do. And if I flip into that arrogant space and I say, this teacher has no idea what they're doing. My kid did this and should have all that. This should have worked this way. And I'm going to email the powers that be and tell them how wrong all this virtual learning is. And basically I can't even see, when I try to do that, it doesn't even come out normal. It's just not my normal modality.
Sorry. You're cute. Trying.
I'm trying. Basically saying everybody else is stupid and I am right here and I hate the way this is because, and again, it's all those absolutes.
Yeah.
And it presents itself as arrogant and I'm better than you. And so when we talk about enoughness for kids, we say self-depreciation being over here and arrogance being over here. They're equally opposite from feeling I'm enough. I got this. We got this. I'm being open to figuring it out and communicating and being resilient and bending and standing back up and all the great things that happen there. And so maybe I set us up a little bit with self-depreciation and arrogance, but what do you think a confident person might be saying to themselves in their minds if they had a scenario like that and they're trying to help somebody
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you do is you just look at the circumstances. You look at you that grace, and that educators doing the best they know how, and evaluating what your students been doing and navigating that, and just, and looking at all the elements. And that's where that compassion and the empathy and the grace, and but if you feel good about you, you're able to just kind of see the big picture here, that there's so many things without control happening, and all those uncertainties are contributing to this unique situation. And also recognizing that grace with yourself too. A lot of times we're in these moments of self-destruction or arrogance and we don't know why. And if we can just take a breath and catch it and just know, oh yeah, we're in a pandemic. Oh yeah, this technology is down. I bet that teacher is this, and this. Or, you can make things up, but that's when you have that discernment, and just know that people are doing the best they can. And I guess I could really try to be practical here. And I know there can be malice and there can be intentions on people's parts that aren't always good. I know that. I don't want to know that, but I do. So I know there are so many variables within each situation that we talk about. But again, if what you're saying is, if you're here, you're in that middle, you're feeling really solid, the the amount of energy and impact of that situation softens,
Mm-hmm.
and softens not in like a rainbows and unicorns way, but I mean in an intensity level.
Yeah,
You can
yeah, I'm
take
hearing you.
something very simple and it can continue to just be a simple situation, and just know all those variables we may work themselves out, but they may not. So I think that's just what we're encouraging people to be, is just fluid right now and not feel stuck.
Yeah. And so I think if we think about like somebody feeling like enough in that situation, they're still taking in all the information that they're getting about what's the situation. They're
Sure.
still taking in all that input. But underneath that input, or foundationally underneath that input, is that fortified database that says, I am. And so we ask kids, how do we move into that confidence zone? Really, it's the reason we equate it to the I am noticed cycle, is because those practices help us do that. And one of the things I think that's huge is hearing kids that we've worked with year after year then say, I keep my list of words about me.
Yes, and
They're,
educators. We've had administrators say
that's true.
that process was pretty uncomfortable for me because they came up with their own words and they were getting noticed. So, a little bit of both goodness happening there. And then at the time, it just was so incredibly uncomfortable to say good things about themselves and to receive good things about themselves. And then they're hanging that up in their closet or in their mirrors, or where areas that they can really see it and recall that goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, in the absence of being able to do a workshop for everybody who's listening, I know, wish we could. But what um, do you think would be helpful to as kind of a call to action, or a way to use this conversation we've had today to help build that database and that feeling of enoughness?
well, I hope it starts with just hearing hearing this conversation, and the invitation for you to explore this, and know that from the bottom of our hearts, if you're tuning in the whole world, we hope you know you're enough. So I just, maybe that helps, right? Just kind of getting that conversation and that thought sparked in your mind. And then I think the call to action today is to make a list of words that describe you. What are some positive adjectives that follow the words I am? So when we say I am, like, what is true for you? What are you proud of? What goodness can you notice in yourself? And it could be a huge, fun, creative process, like get creative with it, or simply grab a whatever's around and a pen and paper and just go crazy. Spend at least a minute. Or Amy, they could do a mirror challenge. If they don't
Good.
want to like write it down, they could look in the mirror. Oh, that's such a good activity.
Yeah. It's really fast. So even though we say like there's a lot of time right now, we're all still at home. It's still time is kind of crazy. So fitting in time for
Yeah.
self-care doesn't always resonate with everybody. A mirror challenge is amazing because it's 1 minute, and you can literally set a timer on your phone, and you're just looking at yourself for 1 minute and being humbly grateful
Hmm.
for the person you see in the mirror. And I think that's huge because we're talking about being enough, not better than, not worse than.
And that's
And
not to be braggy.
that's big, not braggy. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of times the mirror challenge, of course, we joke about it in trainings because a lot of times it gets like the Saturday Night Live, uh, whatever, Mr. Smiley guy, uh, Stuart Smiley. Yeah, like it gets like affirmations get a bad rap, and here's why I think that is. If we say words about ourselves that we don't believe are true, it does not feel authentic.
Hmm.
No different than if we give compliments to other people and we don't mean it.
Oh yeah.
So
Be real. Be
it's
real.
got to be real. Yeah. And so I think that 1 minute mirror challenge is challenging for people. If you've never practiced it before, the first time you do it, it feels inauthentic because you're staring at yourself, trying to say nice things. I haven't done it before. This just doesn't feel necessarily normal. What, unless you practice it, it doesn't. So, like, just giving yourself an invitation to glance at yourself in the mirror for a minute and just kind of asking yourself some questions. What's good about me? Um, who loves me and what would they say about me? What am I good at and what makes me good at those things? And I think it's interesting when we, like the example earlier about having to help in a tough situation. If one of my words is kind and I start to get unkind,
Hmm.
that fortified database kind of reels me back in. It's
Yep.
kind of like, oh wait, something's it's like a little alarm goes off.
Nope. I am kind and I can be kind in this situation.
Yes. And so maybe I need to walk away and take a breath. Maybe we both, with the whole thing, maybe we just need to back up for a second. Maybe we need to change the circumstances. Maybe we need to look at things differently. Maybe we need to do things differently. But if I foundationally know that I am kind, that's not really going to waver. And then I know that that's a principle that's important to me and it helps me feel like I'm enough and I
Yeah.
feel solid. So I really do think that it's kind of a cart and horse, but it builds confidence, and then confidence helps us know we're enough. Knowing we're enough builds confidence.
And the more you practice that, the
Yeah.
more you get used to it and the more it becomes your habit and your
Mhm.
patterns, and then it's your normal, who you are. And if you're already doing that, and you're listening in, you're like, hey, I'm doing all these things, like keep stretching yourself,
Yeah.
keep doing that, just keep being you. And
Yeah.
those are positive ripples that are just so exciting for us to see and experience. And if you are doing that or you're just trying it, we would love to hear from you. Like, please, as you're listening in, like give us feedback and comment here on our YouTube channel, and or email us. And we love that engagement, and we love to hear some of these things that we're sparking and encouraging you to do, that you're actually engaging and doing them. So
Yeah.
call
Yeah,
that.
and there may be ways that people are doing them that they know would help other people, and I think
Yeah,
that's the best part. One of the things I'm missing the most about live training right now is being able to have us learn from each other,
for sure.
and so we can put the invitation out there, but when engagement happens and people can say, "Oh, this is how I heard that, related to that, did that," then we can learn from each other, and I love that so much. So.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. So
Yeah.
hopefully you are feeling like you are enough, and you can practice some positive IMs to kind of help build yourself up and build that confidence so that you can champion this crazy, uncertain world that we're living in right now, because it's not easy. And then be graceful with yourself. Please, please, please. I'm saying that for us too. And we've
Yes.
had those conversations between Amy and I, and
Mhm.
we've been on emotional roller coasters just like everybody else, just figuring things out and taking it one moment at a time. And we just love you guys so much. And thanks for listening. And we're here if you need us.
Right.
Love you, Amy Johnson.
I love you, Jamie Lyon.
You are enough, friend.
You are enough too.
Thanks.
Y'all are.
Bye.
Bye.